Republican Congresswoman Cammack of the great state of Florida is here now. The president doesn't want to negotiate. What does that tell you?
Well, first of all, Harris, it tells me that we need to get an Academy Award ASAP to all the Democrats who wanted to really turn the House floor into a theater production. That was something else yesterday. But what it tells me about President Biden is that he's more interested in playing politics in a game of chicken with people's retirement accounts and our economy's health. That, to me, is exactly the message that they're sending, that they care more about political agendas than they do people. And leadership, it's tough. It means stepping up. And we took the first step yesterday by putting our negotiation on the table. Now they have to come to the table. If he wants to take his ball and go home and say, no, he's not going to negotiate, then he better explain to the American people why, as commander-in-chief, he is allowing the United States to default on our obligations.
You know, it's a despotic move that he's making. It's almost as though he were king, a despot that just simply doesn't have to talk to anybody. He just gets his way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about that. The House of Representatives is a reflection of the American people. It's the people's house. And we, as representatives of the people, were sent to Washington to make tough decisions and to put America first. And everything that we have seen out of the Biden administration to date has been America last. Look at the economic policies. They're not designed to help people. All of the Biden administration economic policies are designed to trap people, because the ultra-liberal left agenda is all about growing the size of government, making people dependent on government programs so that lifelong career politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer stay in power. That's all it's about. It's not about lifting people up. But Republicans, we're fighting back. And the Democrats are going to do every dirty trick in the book to try to say that we're the ones that are going to tank the economy, when in reality, they won't even come to the negotiating table.
Or bring a plan. I mean, they could just FedEx it to you, but they got nothing. You know what? You mentioned the word trapping, or the phrase trapping the American people. That's what's happening with this. President Biden now has this new mortgage policy that would force responsible borrowers, you know, people who actually work on their credit score and pay their bills on time, do all those things that we're supposed to do as just people. He wants those borrowers to pick up the slack for the high-risk peers. Republicans say that's not fair. Congresswoman Stephanie Bice introduced legislation to stop the rule before it even begins, and she says the president's plan stokes a culture of dependency. On the Senate side, Republicans are calling it thinly veiled socialism, fundamentally unfair. They also threatened to counter it in a letter to the administration's Housing Finance Agency. Major concern over what it could do to the already ailing economy. Let's watch.
It's like giving somebody a credit card with a higher credit limit than they need. We do have a heart, but we don't want to lead to another financial crisis on top of the inflation that we have right now.
Congresswoman Cammack, this is exactly what you were talking about, just in terms of that, just trap Americans.
Yeah, think about this. I went from homeless to the House of Representatives, and I had to work extraordinarily hard to build a credit that was worthy to be able to purchase a house and buy a car and do the things that Americans across this country work really, really hard to do. But now we're hearing that that is not the American way anymore. We're going to punish those that have achieved the American dream, those that have sacrificed, that have saved, that have paid down debt, that have worked really, really hard as families, as individuals, to subsidize those that have made bad decisions. That is not the American way. I'm so proud of my friend and colleague Stephanie Bice. She's taken the fight to them, and we are going to pass legislation that stops this ridiculous policy of punishing people with good credit to subsidize those with bad credit. I think it comes out to about $40 more a month that people with good credit would have to pay on their mortgage and their loans to subsidize those with less than stellar credit.
Well, depending on what they're trying to do. I mean, it gets worse than that. If you're trying to sell your home right now,
yes,
right, you've got to lower the price of what you know your home is worth on an open market, lower the price to then, you know, try to attract a buyer who can afford a higher rate just because they have good credit. And don't you want to sell your house to somebody with good credit? Of course you do. You want them to make the mortgage payments and I should say qualify for them. Your last quick thoughts, though, on how this sort of is coupled with the loan forgiveness, the student loan forgiveness. All of it is sort of that, you did the right thing, now pay up.
Listen, I think it's absolutely ludicrous that, again, you have the Biden administration predicating their entire case for student loan forgiveness for people who went out and got gender studies degrees, who are now baristas, and doing God knows what. They now are demanding that people who went into the trades, people who went and got their degrees and paid them back, families that sacrificed and saved to put their kids through college, that they pay their loans. It's not a forgiveness, it's a debt transfer. Again, it's a debt transfer to those who did everything right. It's not right. But the entire case of the Biden administration is predicated on the public health emergency, which, as you know, and all of your viewers know, Republicans ended at the beginning of the year. Biden tried to ride the coattails of the Republican House and saying that he ended it. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but we know it's wrong, and I think it's going to fall apart in the Supreme Court.
It happened so quietly. Let's hope that people don't get punished for doing the right thing. And thank you for sharing some of your personal story. Truly the American dream.